to know how much a 30-second ad slot during the Super Bowl costs? The average production cost of this kind of ad that airs in these spots is about $500,000. So yes, ads are expensive, but is all this advertising worth what it costs? Publicity or advertising? Which is better for your brand? Hey everyone, it's Canon from Inspiration to Millions. Today we are going to compare and contrast publicity and advertisement and examine how both work for your brand. Which one of the two is more effective for brand building? The answer may surprise you. Publicity, or what we call PR, is your most effective brand building tool. The truth is that advertising is marketed as a glamorous world, and publicity is seen as rather like its little cousin Jamie hamming it up for attention. I got my start as a PR executive right before I was discovered as a world-class namer. I ran in for Fortune 500 companies, and I can tell you that the right kind of PR for your brand can be invaluable. At a time when your brand is a small, growing entity, you can't afford an expensive advertising blitz, the good news is that you don't need it either. In fact, positive publicity to achieve visibility in the right areas is far more valuable for building a brand. Bill Gates famously claimed if he were down to his last marketing dollar, he'd spend it on PR. Boy, did our PR office repeat that phrase a lot, because it's true. And you should too. Here's why. Marketers often confuse brand building with brand maintenance. This is a big mistake. Think about the ads you see around you today, online, on TV, in the news, at the gas station if you're still driving a gas car, magazines, at the Whole Foods, doctor's office, just everywhere. You're likely coming across Coca-Cola ads, McDonald's commercials, Nike commercials, auto adverts about the latest Ford model, Amex card ads, AT&T ads telling you about the best and the latest plans. What is common here? These are all big, established, hugely well-known brands. They are advertising to tell you about maybe a new product or two, or mainly they're advertising to stay in your mind, stay familiar and known to you. They're advertising for the purpose of brand maintenance. In fact, that advertising may not get a brand off the ground. For a new or relatively lesser known brand to gain visibility and word of mouth buzz, generating the right kind of publicity is vital. Today, brands are born, not made. When you want a new brand to gain traction in the market, you have to be able to generate favorable publicity, the right kind of buzz in the news, on social media, and in business circles, or it won't have a chance in the marketplace. In the end, advertising is self-promotion. If you're tooting your own horn, publicity is what others are saying about you. That's why it comes across as more authentic, because it is authentic, and believable, and trustworthy. The fact is, what others say about your brand is much more powerful than what you say about it yourself. What works in branding today is publicity, not advertising. Let's get right to the case studies. This is always my favorite part, and the best way to illustrate the point, because you're not listening to me toot my own horn. You're hearing what other people have proven as well. The Body Shop brand is huge right now, but Anita Roddick built it into what it is today, starting out with no advertising budget at all. At the time, she started traveling the world, talking about her ideas for saving the environment and all about responsible lifestyles. She did TV interviews, received press coverage, she was featured in magazines of all sorts and spoke on the radio and podcasts. She did everything she can with her message and became visible and audible, and so did her brand. Take another premium brand, Starbucks. In their first decade after launch, their ad spends were less than $10 million for Starbucks. When you consider the fact that Starbucks sales top $2.6 billion a year, this is a drop in the coffee ocean. Instead, they set about creating a certain brand personality, which appealed to their target demographic. They concentrated on creating the right ambiance for their stores, creating smart merchandise, and on generating positive word-of-mouth publicity for their brand. Today, Starbucks has a dedicated brand loyal community. And this isn't because they spend huge amounts on ads, but because they make the effort to remain in the minds of their consumers and continue to earn their loyalty. Another brand with a negligible ad budget vis-a-vis a $200 billion global sales is Walmart. Its sister brand, Sam's Club, operates on the same principle. Then there's the example of a brand launch with a big advertising budget that went nowhere. When Miller Breweries launched Miller Regular Beer, they sank $50 million into adverts. This, however, had little to no impact on the brand's ideal audience. They simply didn't notice because there was no buzz, no publicity around that launch. It didn't help that Miller Regular wasn't exactly a brilliant name for something you digest. Don't even get me started on that. The question then would be, why hasn't the ascendancy of PR made the news in the media? The answer is complex. Internet came and grew exponentially, really, really quickly. I was there, I remember. So everyone was talking about it. But do you remember when everyone was talking about the rise of the fax? You don't? Obviously no one talks, writes, and discusses faxes. There's a reason for this. It's the grass phenomenon. Millions of faxes are sent out every year. But this didn't happen overnight. It was so slow, it was almost imperceptible, like grass growing. So like this, PR is not immediately visible. It isn't in your face. It isn't as high profile and as glamorous as advertising is branded, shall we say. Let me give you some more examples of brands that grew out of publicity and the market buzz that was generated around them. Microsoft, Dell, Gateway, Cisco, Sun Microsystems. These are all huge today. And we probably can't imagine life without them at this point. But these brands actually took shape and created awareness for themselves from within the pages of the Wall Street Journal. Or because Business Week featured a story about workplace dynamics, or the founder story or its products solving a problem, or because Forbes put them on one of their many lists, or because Fortune interviewed the CEO. All publicity. I know, because I was the PR agent back in those days. None of it advertising. This is a huge part of the incredible brand building and the recognition that these brands enjoy today. So of course, the next question would naturally be, how do you generate publicity? 2 words, be first. The most effective way to create a buzz, to generate publicity, is by being first at something, a new idea, a new product, a clever new feature. It's what marketers call the blue ocean strategy, which exploits a whole new market vis-a-vis or an opposite of the red ocean strategy, where that market is saturated and completely filled with products and competition. You want to be able to make your brand newsworthy. This is what will help it generate publicity around itself. Now, it's not always possible to be first because products are limited in number, and it isn't possible for each of us to become an inventor. So, if not a new product, announce a new category to generate that excitement. I mean, Band-Aid wasn't the first bandage, but it was the first compact adhesive bandage. Domino's didn't invent pizza, not by a century or two, but it certainly set the benchmark for pizza home delivery. KFC didn't invent fried chicken, but it did get fried chicken into every corner of the world, gratifying hunger pangs for the taste buds of people quickly and conveniently. The media wants to report about what's new, different, and fresh. People are anxious to know about a feature or an adaptation or an addition that will make their lives easier or add value in any way. So you want to be able to hook people with that new thing, that interesting, maybe even arresting idea, and create a space for your brand in their minds and in their hearts. Today, brands are built with publicity and maintained with advertising. The carriage is now driving the horse. Your strategy has to be developed from a publicity point of view right from the start. You must identify features of your brand or product that are new, appealing, fascinating. The blue ocean strategy is great, but it can't work in all cases. An untapped market is a marketer's dream, but not a realistic one in many cases. Few brands can boast a completely new product or even a new product category, but everyone can develop their brand from a publicity point of view. Do this from the get-go. Adopt these 3 publicity tactics to give your brand an edge over the others. Number 1, create your story and control the narrative. Create a story around the evolution of a product or the journey of your business or your brand. If there were difficulties or shortcomings along the way, speak about those. If there was a flaw in some sort of in any way in the design, acknowledge it and own it. Come across as an honest brand. Establish yourself as having straightforward values. If you remember that commercial about the Dyson vacuum, it was like he tried it 100 million times until he finally got it so that he could have a vacuum that doesn't lose suction. That was what it was all about. And it became this huge space in everyone's mind for this new brand, this new choice. Number 2, become visible to your ideal audience in a way that matters to them. Associate yourself with causes they are interested in. Get involved in events and become visible through sponsorships or part sponsorships. Maybe you can participate in events that showcase your products, such as expositions or trade fairs, or even give out free samples of your products or services to a charity that's aligned with your values and ethics. All this will create positive word of mouth naturally for your brand. And number 3, become visible in the media and on social media. Contact people associated with the publications that your ideal audience is reading right now, and give a lot of thought to what they are reading. Business publications, lifestyle magazines, fashion publications, political content. So you want to place your stories where your ideal audience is going to come across them. So you become known to them. They discover you. When you get experts to talk about you, you become trustworthy. You become believable. You become reliable. To create social media buzz, get in touch with the social media leaders and influencers for endorsements, reviews, blog posts, podcasts, and so on. Create and share content. Get tweeted and tweet others. Get commented on and comment on others. Share and share alike. Right from the start, you have to keep in mind that you must work towards innovation and gaining publicity. It is publicity that will do the job of the brand building for you. Today, work on incorporating one of these 3 publicity tactics to your brand and help it grow through inexpensive word of mouth rather than expensive advertising budgets. Thanks for joining me today. I'll leave you with some wise words from Leo Burnett. If you don't get noticed, you don't have anything. You just have to be noticed. But the art is in getting noticed naturally without screaming it or without tricks. Remember, publicity costs a mere fraction of what advertising would cost you and gives your brand much more value. Go that route and you will gain much more for much less. Go ahead, become an inspiration to millions for less money. You deserve it. That's what I call getting to love what you do and love how you do it. Thanks for watching. Don't miss out on a single thing. Subscribe below. And here's something else I think you'll love.